One morning in 1995, two campers were inside their small nylon tent within a vast forest in Arizona. They heard a loud rumbling sound, piquing their curiosity. Unzipping their tent, they peered toward the source of the noise, noticing it emanating from a nearby dirt road. Initially, all they saw was a massive cloud of dust hurtling toward them. Suddenly, an unexpected object appeared within the cloud, swiftly passing by and vanishing into the trees. Bewildered, the campers briefly puzzled over the unusual occurrence, but before delving deeper into discussion, the rumbling sound returned. As they looked, the large object was indeed returning. Before we get into the story, welcome to the Untold Files, where we cover some of the most mysterious, bizarre, and unsettling true stories reported. Please support by subscribing and liking this video. This helps the channel. Now back to the story. Late on the night of May 27, 1995, a long-haul truck driver named Devin Williams parked his immense refrigerated semi-truck at a truck stop in Kingman, Arizona. Exhausted, Devin reached over and took his sleeping bag from the passenger seat. Instead of his usual routine of using the bathroom and brushing his teeth before sleeping, Devin unfurled the sleeping bag and settled into the sleeper cab, a section behind the front seats where drivers can rest. He had been on the road for the past 4 days without much respite and was eager to complete the journey and return home to his wife, Mary Lou, and their 3 children in the small town of Americus, Kansas. Despite longing to be back with his family, Devin struggled to fall asleep that night. He knew that if he didn't rest, he'd have to take another break later on to maintain his driving safety. Missing sleep could impact his ability to reach Kansas City, Missouri, 1,300 miles away by Monday morning. The truck was loaded with strawberries and lettuce due for delivery on that day. He was a large man who sported cowboy hats, a prominent Fu Manchu mustache, and tattoos. Despite his intimidating appearance, Devin was a gentle giant. He spoke most about his kids, showing unwavering devotion to them. His colleagues at the company only saw him get upset when work hindered his time with his family. Inside the sleeper cab, as Devin tossed and turned, he grew increasingly frustrated. The realization that this tedious route and his inability to sleep might prevent him from reuniting with his family made him furious. After an hour of struggling to sleep, Devin abandoned the attempt. He packed up his sleeping bag, left the cab, and went into the truck stop. He used the bathroom, grabbed a bite to eat, and called his boss. He explained that he had stopped to rest but couldn't sleep, so he intended to hit the road again. Devin assured his boss that he'd be in Kansas City on time for the delivery, even if he needed another break to catch up on sleep. His boss, Tom Wilson, received this call but didn't find anything unusual about it. While it was a bit odd that Devin was unable to sleep and had called his boss about it, he sounded perfectly normal. Tom wasn't concerned that Devin wouldn't make it to Kansas City by Monday morning. Devin was regarded as one of the most dependable drivers, so when he assured his boss, Tom Wilson, that he'd be in Kansas City on Monday morning, even if he needed additional breaks on the way, Tom trusted that Devin would make it. However, Monday morning arrived, and the Kansas City distribution center contacted Tom to report that Devin hadn't arrived with the produce. Initially, Tom was irritated with the distribution center, thinking they were calling too early before the deadline, assuming Devin would show up in a few minutes. He conveyed this to them, and they agreed to wait longer. Yet, nearly an hour passed with no sign of Devin, prompting the distribution center to call Tom again, expressing concern. Suddenly, Tom's outlook changed. Now he was worried about Devin. He apologized to the distribution center and assured them he'd contact Devin as soon as he could to locate their shipment. The challenge was that it was 1995, and without cell phones, Tom had to wait for Devin to stop and call. All day, Tom waited for that call, reaching out to other drivers across the country, hoping they might have any information about Devin's whereabouts. Unfortunately, no one had any updates on Devin. Then, that evening, the call came, but it wasn't from Devin, it was from his wife, Mary Lou. She was understandably anxious, saying that Devin was expected home and hadn't been in touch for days. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Tom explained to Mary Lou what had happened and missed deadlines. Worried, Mary Lou contacted the police, leading to an officer arriving at her home to file a missing person report. The officer reassured Mary Lou that Devin would likely be found and that they'd broadcast an alert to the police departments along Devin's expected route. The plan was to check if any of these departments had interacted with Devin, considering various scenarios from accidents to vehicle breakdowns or hospitalization. The alert quickly received a response from the Coconino County Sheriff's Department. On Sunday, the day before Devin was reported missing, his truck became a matter of concern in Coconino County, Arizona. Despite being 200 miles east of Kingman, where Devin had spent the night and had been unable to sleep before calling his boss, the Sheriff's Department in Coconino County had a clear piece of information for the police officer in Americus, Kansas. They had no idea about Devin's whereabouts, but they did know the precise location of his truck. The county was abuzz with talk about the truck, primarily because on that same Sunday, someone was recklessly driving Devin's massive truck throughout the Tonto National Forest, terrifying hikers and campers. The Tonto National Forest, spanning 600,000 acres, wasn't anywhere near Devin's regular trucking route. Situated about 20 miles off the highway, the forest's roads were narrow and more suited for small cars than a 48-foot, 10-ton semi-truck like Devin's. 8 hours after Devin's call to his boss, two campers, Lynn and Jack Yarrington, were in their tent in the forest when they heard an alarming rumbling sound coming from a dirt road. They unzipped their tent, observed a huge cloud of dust and smoke, and witnessed Devin's enormous truck hurtling down the road at a speed that seemed impossible given the forest's conditions. After the truck vanished from sight, instead of fear, the campers were left utterly perplexed. They speculated that the driver might be lost and trying to turn around. Minutes later, the truck reappeared, flying back down the road, reinforcing the belief that the driver was indeed lost. However, during the third pass, the campers noticed a sedan heading in the opposite direction. As the road was curved and obstructed the view, neither driver saw the other, inevitably leading them toward a collision. Fearing the impending crash, the campers shouted at the truck driver to slow down, but the truck continued at its relentless pace, oblivious to the impending danger. The sedan driver found himself in a tense situation, observing Jack and Lynn's frantic attempts to stop a vehicle. As the truck appeared, the sedan driver came to a sudden stop, attempting to avoid a collision. However, despite the truck's clear sight of the sedan, it continued at full speed. The sedan driver was forced to maneuver off the road, narrowly avoiding a collision. The truck driver, seemingly unresponsive to the sedan's presence, remained fixated on the road ahead, barreling past without any acknowledgement. This incident left the sedan driver in disbelief, having narrowly escaped a collision due to the truck's unyielding trajectory. There was a family there. While hiking through Tonto National Forest, they stumbled upon a vast, picturesque meadow where they had planned to have a picnic. However, as they emerged from the forested area and entered the open field, they were startled to see a massive truck parked in the middle of the meadow. The presence of the truck was bewildering, as it seemed inconceivable that it could have reached this remote location. Upon closer inspection, the father of the family noticed a man standing beside the truck, gazing off into the distance at the distant mountains. They assumed that the driver of the truck had encountered some trouble and needed assistance. In an attempt to offer help, the father instructed his family to stay put while he approached the stranded truck. As the father drew nearer to the man beside the truck, it became evident that the vehicle was indeed stuck in the muddy terrain. This suggested that the driver might need help. The father called out to the man, asking if he required assistance, offering to return and seek aid. However, the man standing beside the truck didn't respond. He remained motionless, fixated on the distant landscape. The father, undeterred, repeated his offer to assist, directly addressing the man who was seemingly unresponsive. The man by the truck reacted oddly when the father approached. He opened his mouth as if to speak but instead widened it without a word, then started rapidly moving his lower jaw, clicking his teeth. He calmly stated, "I didn't do it, they did it." This bizarre behavior unsettled the family. They hurried back home and alerted the police, who took some time to reach the meadow where the truck was stranded. When the deputy arrived, the truck was found abandoned, running but locked. The interior was tidy, filled with produce, while the deputy ran the license plate to find no reports of it being missing until the following day, after Devin was reported missing. The peculiar behavior of the man near the truck remained unexplained, adding to the mystery of the situation. After Devin's truck was discovered in the forest, the Coconino County Sheriff's Department quickly connected the dots and contacted the Americus, Kansas officer to report the find. The behavior witnessed by various individuals was so atypical for someone like Devin that it seemed implausible he could have been behind the wheel. Yet, numerous witnesses were convinced that the man they saw driving the truck was indeed Devin Williams. This puzzling situation raised questions about why Devin would even venture into the Tonto National Forest, especially in a large semi-truck. It didn't align with his known desires, as at the time of his disappearance, all Devin seemed to want was to return home to his family in Americus, Kansas. The possibility that Devin had voluntarily absconded was considered, but it didn't match his character. His clean record, healthy relationship with his wife, and stable financial situation contradicted any motive for running away. Furthermore, the notion of kidnapping seemed unlikely for someone of Devin's stature and background as a sturdy, tattooed, and tough truck driver. These perplexing aspects made his strange conduct in the forest even more baffling. The police made an extensive effort to find Devin within the Tonto National Forest. During this search, a couple, Jack and Lynn Yarrington, claimed to have seen someone resembling Devin Williams on foot, barefoot and wandering the forest just hours before he would have been reported missing. When they attempted to check on him, this figure, who they thought was Devin, unexpectedly picked up a rock and threw it at their car. Unfortunately, Jack and Lynn didn't realize this might have been the same person seen driving the truck. Despite this apparent sighting, the massive search couldn't locate Devin. Even with the description provided by Jack and Lynn, there was no trace of him. After nearly 3 weeks of an exhaustive search, the authorities decided to call off the search, unable to find any signs of Devin's whereabouts. The mysterious case of Devin Williams remains unresolved. In 1997, 2 hikers stumbled upon a human skull in the Tonto National Forest, 2 years after Devin was reported missing. The DNA testing confirmed it belonged to Devin Williams. The circumstances surrounding his disappearance and the discoveries of his truck and skull are puzzling. People have speculated about various theories, from a medical event that led to his strange behavior to the possibility of drug use, despite no history of it. There are even more far-fetched suggestions, such as extraterrestrial contact and abduction. However, the truth behind Devin's puzzling disappearance and the discovery of his skull remains unknown, leaving room for various hypotheses, as no definitive explanation has been found. Thank you for watching, and let me know in the comments section below if you know of any similar incident. I would love to research on that.